Good morning and welcome to the Jersey Magazine. I'm Jim Monaghan. I have two guests with me this morning from the Allman Betts Band, John Ginty and Duane Betts. John, Duane, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Jim. Thanks for having us.
So now you are on what, the tour bus?
Yeah, we're on the tour bus, man. We're in Nashville, Tennessee. We're parked outside the Bridgestone Arena, and we're performing a couple songs at the Volunteer Jam today.
So tell me what it's like trying to tour during a global pandemic. I know you've had a few bumps in the road, but what's it been like?
Well, it's been day to day, man. You know what I mean? It's day to day. We try
one day at a time. You know, you just kind of stay with your crew and hope for the best, you know, and have fun while you can.
Yeah, we've been out on the Spirit of the South tour with Blackberry Smoke and Wild Feathers. And, you know, we've had a couple shows get canceled and a couple shows get postponed. And, you know, it's just touch and go. So we try to go day to day and, you know, tackle whatever's ahead of us that day.
How big a crew do you have with you?
We're 12 guys out there and, you know, band and crew and driver. And we're in our little bubble. We're in our Allman Betts Band bubble, you know. We try to, you know, stay together and stay safe as possible so that the show can happen, you know. It's a challenge.
Duane, you and Devin had obviously been running in the same circles. Devin Allman, of course, who I'm referring to. You guys have been running in the same circles for some time based on your family roots and who your parents were. At what point did you decide to say, we should do our own band? Let's do this together. When did that happen for you?
It happened, you know, it happened pretty soon after we started playing together. I was his opening act in 2018. I had done a solo record and I had just left playing with some friends of mine, a band called Dawes, and he was kind of, you know, had just put together a concert for his father in San Francisco, the Allman Family Revival, to celebrate his father's life. So he invited me to that, and then we started talking. We've talked about it over the years many times, and it just wasn't the right time. It wasn't the perfect timing until, you know, what transpired in 2018, 2019. So yeah, it just made sense. It felt right. It felt like the next logical step, the next, you know, natural step. And it's been fun. It's been great. We've made 2 records and toured all over the place and getting ready to make a 3rd record. So it's been fun.
One of the things I like about both records, and I've played both on the air on All Mixed Up here on WDHA, is obviously you can tell the roots from where you're from. At the same time, it doesn't sound like a cover band type of thing, you know, where you're...
I hope not.
And I know you do some Allman Brothers stuff in your set. How do you try to change those arrangements?
You know, I mean, a lot of those tunes are different every night, just intrinsically the way the music that it is, you know, lends itself to just be interpreted differently every night. So that's what's fun about it. Yeah, I mean, I think there's something really, really great about sticking true to the essence of the spirit of it, but definitely not trying to copy it and make it, like, worry about playing it exactly the same way. I mean, there's so many different incarnations of the band over their history, and there's so many different arrangements of the same tunes and stuff. So, I mean, I just kind of cherry pick stuff out. Like, maybe there's something out of a later arrangement in Jessica that my dad did that I like, but then I'll leave out some of the other stuff and keep it more like the original. So, you know, that's what we do. We just try to kind of cherry pick and stay true to it. But
there's sort of an unspoken thing too. Like I've played these songs my whole life, but when I started playing them with these guys, it's just different. You know, there's just an unspoken thing about it. It's obviously just in the bloodline or whatever. So, you know, and we mix in a couple Allman Brothers, you know, in the set every night, and the people love it, and we love to play it. And, you know, everybody, like Duane said, everybody else plays it, so why can't we play it?
Yeah, I mean, I like playing that music. I don't want to ever feel like I have to play it. And that's what I think the idea is. You want to play, you know, I mean, if you're playing for 2.5 hours, then heck yeah, let's jam on Liz Reed for 20 minutes or something. You know? I mean, it's a long time to fill up. So yeah, you know, we enjoy playing that music, so we'll play some of it, but don't expect us to play, you know, like a full record. Well, actually, you know, who knows? Maybe
Unless
we'll do
we feel
that
like
sometime, unless we feel like it.
That could be very cool. That could be very, very cool. We're talking with John Ginty and Duane Betts this morning here at 105.5 WDHA. John, you mentioned playing those songs all your life. I'm thinking back, I think Midnight Rider was probably the first Allman Brothers song that I learned on the guitar, because a lot of the other ones were just simply way too difficult. Dickie, what your dad was playing, what Duane was playing, there was no way I could do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of complicated stuff in that music. There's a lot to it. It's, you know, there's a lot of different roots and a lot of different movements and a different way to interpret it. So, yeah.
So the band forms in November, I guess, of 2018, or maybe that's when the first record came out. John, you come aboard a year later, and 5 months into it, the country gets shut down. What was that like for you?
Well, you know, I mean, the shutdown affected everybody in our industry. You know, we all just kind of had to roll with the punches, and we did a really good job of it. We managed to play. We managed to still play in any safe way that we could, you know. So we played parking lots, we played golf driving ranges, we played we played at the side of a mountain where the crowd was, you know, 1,000 yards from us. So it wasn't always the ultimate thing, but a couple of them were really cool, and it was worth doing, and it was worth, you know, just finding a way to navigate it and find a way to play safely. So, and I don't think that's changed for us. You know, there was a little break there where it felt like, oh, okay, we're going to get back to normal, but not so much anymore.
That time has come and gone.
Yeah. We're back in a bubble. We're back wearing masks. We're back doing what we can do to keep the thing rolling, man. You know,
Yeah.
It's an interesting time.
I can't imagine. I was going to say, I can't imagine. In fact, John, when you and I were talking on the phone just a few minutes ago, I'm like clarifying, like, you guys are in Nashville, right? And it brings back that moment in Spinal Tap, you know, the whole Hello Cleveland thing. And I was thinking back to a show the Moody Blues did at the old Paramount Theater at Madison Square Garden some years ago. This would have been probably in the early 80s. And I was introducing the band that night. I walk out onto the stage to welcome the audience, and I look down on the monitors, and there's poster board. And on it, it says, today is, and it has the day, you are in New York City. You're playing at, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is real.
Yeah, it's
so
actually real. Yeah.
Take the confusion of being on the road to begin with. What city are we in? That whole thing. And throw it into a global pandemic. How much more confusing and crazy does this get for you guys?
Yeah, it's odd. I think I said it to Barry Oakley the other night. We were sitting outside in the parking lot next to the bus in a couple chairs, and we were in the middle of nowhere. And I said, man, if you took the venue away and took the bus away, look at us. What are we doing? You know? I mean, you find yourself in situations that you would just never find yourself in life, you know? And that stuff is weird, but...
Barry, do you want to come chime in?
Yeah, Barry Oakley's sitting right here. Let's come on, Barry, come in.
Come make an appearance.
So even with all that stuff, you know, and the weirdness, it's like when the lights go down, the show still goes on. Here's Barry Oakley.
Barry, good morning.
Sit down, Barry. Morning. Barry, Jim Monahan, Barry Oakley.
Good. Welcome to WDHA.
Thank you.
This is what you get, Jim, when we put you on the bus. So you get the whole band running around here. So, but yeah, I mean, Barry will tell you, it's all just been day to day, man.
Yeah. What was the question? I missed.
Trying to navigate through a pandemic, you know, something that we've never really had to deal with before. You guys are touring behind a relatively new record, and shows are getting bounced all over the place. It has to be just mind-boggling.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's definitely, you know, the undiscovered country, so to speak. You know, it's you feel like pilgrims in a way, you know, because we really don't, you know, it's just kind of roll with the punches and see how to get it done, really. So, but you know, we've been real fortunate. We're still, you know, rocking, and we're still here. So far so good.
Bless Your Heart is the latest album from the Allman Betts Band. Am I correct that this was done on analog tape?
It was.
Yep.
It was.
Opposed to digital.
So as I was saying to Duane a little earlier, the sound of the band, I think that has a huge part of the way that record sounds, is that whole, if you will, going back to what artists were doing in the 70s before all the digital technology. As we sit here, you guys in a bus in Nashville and me in my dining room here in New Jersey on Zoom,
Yeah, we got to blend the best of both worlds. Like, we're an analog band all the way. If you see us on stage,
Yeah.
it's all tube amplifiers and Hammond B3s and old guitars, and so it wouldn't make sense for us to just totally dive into a digital world and do that. It just didn't make any sense, and it's not how all our favorite records were made, and a lot of the records that you're playing on the air, were made on tape and made in old rooms and made with old gear, because that's just what sounds the best. So, but the digital stuff, when you can marry it together and it helps you do stuff like this, we're all for it. We love it, but we're an analog band. We're analog men.
Yeah.
I was thinking back before we hooked up on Zoom today, the first time I saw the Allman Brothers Band. I'm a little late to the party here because Don and Therese, my parents, weren't going to let little Jimmy Monaghan go to the Fillmore East. So it's a little bit after that. It's 1980, I think, and it's the old Palladium on 14th Street in Manhattan. And we've just introduced the band, and I'm stage right, not too far, I guess, from where Greg is. And I look to my right, and there's tennis legend John McEnroe.
Oh yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, this is kind of cool. And the band kicks in, and I'm telling you, the stage shook. And I'm thinking, wow, well, this is really cool. What's the coolest moment that you guys have had on stage so far?
Well, we haven't had McEnroe up there. I hear he's a decent guitar player.
Right.
Yeah,
That's a tough one.
that is a tough one.
Chuck Level.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a
just
good one.
recently we had Chuck Level sit in with us, that was incredible.
Yeah.
He's such a sweetheart of a guy, and he was so cool with us. And we were in Macon, Georgia. We were at the big auditorium there, so it was really appropriate moment, and just like just an incredible moment for me personally to have him on the bench with me is insane.
Yeah.
He's the greatest there is. Allman Brother, Rolling Stone. I mean, Chuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Duane, John, and Barry from the Allman Betts Band, my guest this morning here at 105.5 at WDHA. Unless anything gets changed now, it looks like Stone Pony Summer Stage in Asbury Park on Sunday the 29th. That's a rescheduled date. And Pier 17 on Wednesday the 25th. Is that date still on?
It is.
So far.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to talk to you guys
No, it
about was Neal Casal. And John, I know you know Neal very, very well. This Thursday will mark the second anniversary of Neal's passing. He sadly took his life. And over the first few weeks of the Jersey Magazine show that we've been doing, we've been talking about mental health. And, I did not know Neal. I knew many friends of his. I had a number of mutual friends, but didn't know him. But, John, when Neal passed, when I heard that he had passed and that he had taken his whole life, it was the antithesis of the way that I felt listening to his music. There was just a certain joy that I got from listening to Neal's songs. You knew Neal best. What was it about Neal that brought you and him together?
Wow. It was a long time ago. It was 1993, and Neal was trying to put together a band to go to California and make his first record. And so he came and saw me play at a club called the Wetlands, and stood in front of the Hammond B3 for a second and was like, that's the guy. And came up to me afterwards, was like, man, I'm doing this whole thing. You want to come with me? And I said, sure. And we spent the next 3 or 4 months in a little apartment just playing together. We'd set up an organ and an acoustic guitar and just played. And he was an amazing songwriter and an incredible singer and a great guy, and my best friend. I mean, we were inseparable for that time that we were kind of figuring it out together, and we figured out a lot together. As far as going to LA for the first time and getting in front of a producer, Jim Scott, for the first time, and getting a real solid LA rhythm section behind us for the first time, and feeling grooves for the first time, and knowing when a chorus hit for the first time. we kind of went to school on all that stuff together, and it was a really special time. Um,
There,
you know, looking back on it and having to work on his music since his passing, and I can't believe it's been 2 years. That's like insane to me. But you know, having to do all that and kind of go back on it, and a lot of his lyrics now, you know, they make a lot of sense as to what happened there. And it was sort of in the music the whole time, which is weird and odd to say, but you know, stuff that I didn't realize when I was working on the songs, lyrics that were so obvious. Now you listen to them and you go, oh man, how did I not see that? How did I not hear that? You know, but he never communicated any problems. That was the thing. Neal was he was a happy guy. He was great on stage. Duane played with him a couple days before his passing at Locken
Yeah,
Festival.
Yeah.
Duane, what do you remember about that show?
Just how fun and light-hearted he was, and you know, we had a long ride from the hotel to the venue. Not, you know, I mean, it wasn't 5 minutes. It was like maybe 30 or 40 minutes. So we got to talk a lot. And I'd met him a few times in passing. I knew he was an amazing musician and singer and songwriter, and I knew who he was, and I liked his style a lot. And we kind of rapped for a few moments here or there. But like that weekend, I felt like I was like, wow, like I'm really getting to know this guy. Like I'm making a friend, you know, that like I can grow, that, you know, we can like develop this. This is a relationship that is like, I saw it developing, you know, and then, so it was, you know, obviously shocking, you know, but, yeah, I mean, I'm grateful that I got to play with him and spend some time with him, you know.
That was actually one of the last communications I had with Neal. Was he texted me and said, yo, I'm in a van with Duane Betts, you know, like, and he said to me, he said, you were born to be in this band. He was so happy that I was in the Allman Betts Band. He just knew that was like the perfect fit, you know? So, so yeah, it was odd. And I remember seeing footage of Duane and him on stage with, you know, they're up there with Bob Weir and O'Teal, and it was a great put together band, you know, and they were just slaying it. So it was, yeah, it was odd that it
I remember that, you know? We were in the rehearsals, and he, you know, there's like 2 rehearsal rooms, and the bands kind of come in. It's on site at the festival, you know, because people are working up material for their sets and stuff. And Tedeschi Trucks band was doing Layla in its entirety, so they had a rehearsal room booked. And as we were leaving, they were coming in, and I saw Derek, and Derek was like, oh yeah, you're playing with O'Teal. Who are the guitar players? And I go, Eric Krasno and Neal Casal. And Eric Krasno is an amazing guitar player. And Derek goes, oh man, Neal's in that band, man. Neal's amazing. Neal's great. And he goes, oh, and Krasno is great too. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, and at the end of the night, I told Neal that, like, when we were like getting our stuff out of the dressing rooms to go back to the van, and he just looked at me in disbelief, like, no, he didn't. You know, and it like kind of made his night, like it should make any guitar player's night, you know. But that was something really special. I thought that was special and cute, you know, that he you know, was kind of in disbelief about it and kind of lit up like a Christmas tree, like a little kid. Like, is he pulling my leg, or is, you know?
Love that.
John Ginty and Duane Betts on camera right now, and there's Barry in the background from the Allman Betts Band at 105.5 WDHA. We're just a few weeks away from a 41-track collection called Highway Butterfly, the songs of Neal Casal. It'll be out. It's a 5 LP, 3 CD set. And John, the list of artists on here, you've kind of already mentioned some of them already. Phil Lesh, Shooter Jennings, Todd Schaefer from Good Homes, Bob Weir, Warren Haynes is on here, Steve Earle and the Dukes, Susan and Derek. How did all of this come together?
It was crazy. It started as a kind of a small thing, and it grew day by day and track by track. The more we worked on it, the more artists got on it. And it turned into this giant thing. And of course, you know, it started pre-pandemic when things were normal and bands were going to Jim Scott's studio Pliers out in California and recording together. And, you know, the first plan, like everything was going to get done there. So it all has a cohesiveness. And that went out the window with the pandemic, but we didn't want to stop. We didn't want to stop working, and more artists wanted to contribute. You know, people were pouring out of the woodwork. So it became like a hot potato recording session where we were getting what we could in different places and sending it off to Jim to mix. And I worked on probably, I don't know, 16 or 17 of the songs, I think. Produced a couple, recorded a couple in my studio. And we were kind of getting towards the end, and I spoke with Jim and Gary Waldman, Neal's manager, who spearheaded this whole thing. Gary's just been incredible with every bit of this, and the Neal Casal Foundation, and he's done all that stuff. And we got towards the end, and they called and said, "Man, we got to have the Allman Betts Band on here." You know, it's like, that's your band, and you know, the connection with Neal and Duane, and Neal was so happy, like, we got to get you on it somehow. So there was talk of us recording, you know, a show live, because we were on tour and we were busy, and so we were able to shoehorn a little recording session in St. Louis and record one of Neal's songs, "Raining Straight Down." And, you know, we literally shoehorned it in. We had a couple hours off in which to do it, and we got it done.
Yeah.
And it came out great, and the band plays the song so well, and the attachment was there. We play it live. It ends up in our live sets, and it has for the past year. So you know, I couldn't be happier to have, you know, my guys on there. It was really important in a lot of different ways, you know.
Wayne, you just mentioned telling someone about Neal Casal. Oh, you've got Neal Casal. That's, you know, he's such a good player. And I think that's one of the things that jumped out at me when I looked at the artist list on this album, the number of people who not necessarily had touched Neal and, you know, worked with him in the past, but were aware of just how good a player and a songwriter that he was, and how they wanted to be a part of this record. That's the thing that jumped out at me looking at the list.
Yeah, because there's two different, you know, there was two different Neals, you know. There was the Neal that was the singer-songwriter who put out all those records, and then there's the Neal who got into, like, you know, the jam band side of things with Chris Robinson Brotherhood and Phil Lesh and Friends, and he was never destined to do that. That was never, if we had told him that back in 1993, he would have said you were nuts, that he would be playing Garcia's parts and singing Eyes of the World or whatever. He'd be like, no way is that ever. So there's two different guys out there, and that's when the floodgates opened, is the people that were familiar with Neal as a songwriter, and then the people, you know, in the jam world and who saw him in the last 10 years. He affected a lot of people.
Again, that 41-track compilation is called Highway Butterfly, the songs of Neal Casal, and it'll be out a little bit later on this fall, a 5 LP and 3 CD set. And for information on the Neal Casal Music Foundation, you can go to the website. They do some amazing work trying to get musical instruments into schools here in New Jersey and the New York area as well. And that is Neal Casal musicfoundation.org. You guys mentioned another album coming. Duane, what can you tell us about a third Allman Betts album?
Not much. That we're gonna do it, and we're gonna write songs for it, and it's gonna be good.
There you go.
You know, there's a interviewing tip that they tell you: don't ask a yes or no question, because that may be exactly what you get. So instead of saying, "Is there a third album coming out?" Well, what can you tell me about it?
We're in pre-production right now, you know.
Yeah.
So we're, you know, throwing some tunes around, seeing what hits the wall and falls off, and what sticks.
Jim, you know, you'll be the first to hear it, baby.
Yeah. I can't wait. You've been very good about sending me stuff. I can't, and you know I'll play it too, because as I said the other day when I played Mike McLaughlin's record, if Ginty's on it, it's got to be good.
See, that's how we do it in Jersey. That's how we judge it.
Well, Dickie, excuse me, Duane and John and Barry in the background there. I can't thank you enough for joining me this
Thank
morning
you so much for having us, man.
Thank you,
here
Jim.
on DHA.
Yeah, I'm glad we
Again,
got to talk and meet in person here soon.
Meet in Zoom.
Pier 17 on Wednesday, the 25th in Mee City, and Stone Pony Summer Stage in Asbury Park on Sunday, the 29th. That's a rescheduled date. Again, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys joining me this morning here on
Thank you,
DHA.
Jim.
Thank you.
One love, baby.
Appreciate it.
Peace.